Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's special edition of Focus on Liberia, we are going to have a debate. We're going to be comparing the Alex Cummings' plan versus the Benjamin Kofa Fyneah's plan for Liberia. Both Alexander Cummings and Benjamin Fyneah are running for president of Liberia, and they have a plan for the country. So tonight we're going to be discussing the plan, comparing oranges tonight, and representing the Alex Cummings team as the someone who is on a member of the ANC and on the communication team of ANC Global, Mr. Anthony Gay. Anthony, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja. Thanks for having me.
Also representing the Benjamin Kofa Fyneah's team is 2023 presidential hopeful Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fyneah. Ben, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
I want to say thank you for the opportunity of hosting me. I will always declare that your outfit is one of the best media outfit out there. I look forward to a vibrant dialogue. I won't call it I'm a debate because this is a comparative analysis of ideas, and one of the things I've stressed I think for the last 4 or 5 months that from now up to next year, Liberians should have a framework, we should have a blueprint, vision, so that
Ben, can you give me a little volume?
Yeah, Liberians, hold on. Liberians should hear about blueprint, vision, so by the time we hit election day, they will make informed decisions. So I welcome this opportunity, and I look forward to a vibrant and very interesting dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, we want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. If you've not already done so, please share the show and be part of the debate. Ben, let's try you again. Your voice was very low. Let's go again. So let me start with you. Introduce yourself and your role. Of course, you are the presidential candidate. And I must say thank you so much. You are the only presidential candidate who is debating people that are not on the same level with you, because we have had challenges trying to invite people that will say, well, that person is not on my level. So thank you for coming. Let's try your volume again.
Well, I think what they don't understand that if you want to be a leader, you have to be constantly engaged. I want to say Anthony here is a Liberian, and he must be afforded a chance to engage as leader. I think it's wrong for anybody to say that somebody else is not on the same stage as they are. No, and I mean Anthony is a Liberian, and for me, I think it's an opportunity to engage him, because if we are successful with Anthony tonight, we will open doors to other Liberians to kind of welcome and embrace us. So I want to say, Mr. Anthony, I look forward to a very vibrant interaction and dialogue, and I'm happy to be here. And thank you, Mr. Anthony, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. I should also thank you for coming, for accepting to debate Mr. Fyneah, because what we've learned is one time we asked someone to debate Fyneah and say, well, the man has no traction, where he's not going anywhere. In fact, someone was able to describe him and say, Ben is just looking for to create a photo for his high school assignment, for his college assignment, so we can debate him. So in Liberia, we should talk. So let's begin. I want to start by saying we're talking about the plan, the Cummings plan, and the Benjamin Kofa Fyneah's plan. Let me start by asking you, Ben, what is your understanding of a plan when someone is running for office? What is your understanding of a plan, and what are some of the essentials that a good plan should contain?
Yes, the first thing is when you are running for elected office, you have something.
Ben, your volume.
Okay. The first thing I would say is that when you are running for elected office, we have something called a brief. Policy brief. That is the first thing you have to grab. It it brings in line to the who, what, when, where, and how. That is your frameworks. That's the blueprint. Then, after you have made consultation with the people who, whatever you design would impact, then you have what you call your final plan, policy. One thing we make in, one key mistake we make in Africa and in Liberia, we make plans, final plans, without the
Glenn,
people.
let me bring you back. What is your understanding of a plan, and what are some of the key essentials a good plan should have?
The
Let's go straight into
understanding
it. We have a long night tonight.
Yes, it's literally a roadmap.
Okay.
It gives you a sense of direction, and it contains the who, what, when, where, and how. That's the basic of it all.
Thank you. Let me go to Anthony. Mr. Gay, what is your understanding of a plan, and what are some of the essentials that a good plan should have?
My understanding of a plan is pretty much a clear written out documentation that will guide you through the process of doing for the people what they want. First of all, you must understand what's at stake, what the circumstances is. What was the important thing yesterday may not be the same thing today, and may not be the same thing tomorrow. So first of all, you must do an analysis and understand what's at stake first. First of all, identify the issue, have a solution, and then roll out that plan that will address that circumstances that's unfolding. So that's what a plan is. In other words, you would say a roadmap, you would say a masterpiece, and whatever description you want to give it. But you must first understand what is happening first. 2017 may have had its own issue. 2023 will not be the same circumstances that we face in 2017. So an individual has to understand what's at stake, what the people want, what is their challenges today, and what is their challenges tomorrow, and how can you implement those challenges and how they will be paid for. Every plan that you have, you should know what it's going to cost you and how you're going to generate the money to address that issue.
Thank you. So basically, the essential parts of a good plan are?
The essential part of a good plan is what needs to get that plan rolling out, and how you're going to get that plan, and how that plan can be paid for. So you must have a clear a vision as to how you're going to implement that particular plan and where the money is going to come from. For instance, if you want to sell a water market, first of all, you got to think about where the money is going to come from, how much money I want to put into the water market, and how am I going to get this money. If you don't have anything like that, you don't have a plan.
Thank you. Does Mr. Cummings have a plan? If the answer is yes, where can we find it?
Absolutely. That plan has been summarized in the 5-minute video that we have shared. You also have that 5-minute video. And the reason why we went with a video, Mr. Jai, is very simple. The vast majority of our people are uneducated. They cannot understand. They cannot read and write, right? So we make it easy that, hey, something you see with your own eye, it's very hard for you to forget it. So we call that visual learning. So the whole platform, we have a clear platform, but that platform has been summarized into the 6-minute video that talks about the what's and also talk about the how. What needs to be done, and how it's going to be done, and how will it be paid for. Because again, everybody knows Liberia is struggling. Everybody knows Liberia is hard. But how you going to get it fixed? And those things are outlined in that 6-minute video.
So that video is on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. And it's on other platform and WhatsApp and if anybody wants it tonight, just say inbox me. After the show, you will have it. 6 minutes. You. It's not going to take all of your time. Just 6 minutes.
Thank you, Benjamin Kufa Fyneah, our presidential hopeful. Do you have a plan? If yes, where is it? Where can we find it?
I do have a plan, but let me just react to what Mr. Andrew.
Don't react yet, please. Go to the question. We'll have time.
Yes, I know, but this is very important because Liberians are tuning to us, so I have to say this. For Anthony to say that most Liberians are not educated, I don't think it's a fair assessment of Liberians. That's number one. And number two, for a plan for an individual running for the highest office in the land, to restrict his plan to just that short length of time. It tells me that this individual is relying on what I call buzzwords, slogans. They do not substitute for a detailed framework. At least we
All
can.
right, we'll come to that. Please, let's go to your plan.
Yes. Number one, I do have a website that is up. You can go there and see the frameworks of my plan. It is called. You can go to www.kofa2023.org. You can go there, and I encourage librarians to go there because when we are going to draft the final version of our plan, we will want to have input from librarians. We want input. You don't craft plans in isolation. You get the frameworks, you lay the foundational work, then you get interaction before you come up with a final draft. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, since we have this talk about Ben's plan, which is on his website, and Anthony's plan, which is on YouTube, I want to show our viewing audience these plans. So let's start with Benjamin Kofa Fyneah, and his plan is found on kofa2023.org. And I'm going to read it. Bear with me. Our vision for the new Liberia, the quest for national renewal begins with us. Accountability. We will endeavor to ensure that every single public official is accountable to the people. Their performance will be evaluated annually, and a key component to their appointment is full asset declaration. Agriculture will be the bedrock of our economic resurgence. Specific emphasis will be placed on mechanized farming, value addition by way of processing and export. Healthcare. We will ensure that healthcare is affordable, is of acceptable quality, and is accessible to all. A healthcare ID card will be made available to all Liberians to reduce the incidences of rejection due to associated costs in times of need. Education. Pre-primary, primary, and secondary education will be mandatory and subsidized by the state. The national curriculum will be re-evaluated to ensure that high school graduates are equipped with needed skills within our society. Employment. The current widespread youth unemployment poses a national security threat. Most will be given jobs within the agricultural sector. Emphasis will be placed on the many specializations in the agricultural field. Housing. Launch a nationwide affordable housing scheme to ensure all communities are planned and up to par with international standards. This project will also be a major source of employment for skilled tradesmen and the youth. National infrastructure. We will ensure that all counties are connected through a major road network program. Feeder roads will be built to connect to the major highway to spur commerce and economic growth and reduce the rural to urban migration that has plagued the country. Security. The security of the state is paramount to any development and the peace we continue to enjoy. We will ensure that our law enforcement personnel are the best and brightest through a total overhaul of the sector and an introduction of professionalism and adherence to service to the country, community, and the Liberian people in general. These noble objectives cannot be achieved in isolation. We need every Liberian to join us as we endeavor to restore our people's hope and our nation's pride. Indeed, the quest for national renewal begins with us. That's the plan of Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fyneah. Ben, if you might sum that up in 2 to 3 sentences, what would your plan be?
Basically, it will be what I call a Liberian renaissance, a renewal. That's the goal. For far too long, Liberia has been stuck for far too long. It is mostly due to the lack of honest leadership. So I would tell Liberians that number one, the key word we would give Liberians tonight is we will have honest leadership, because one of the key things we stress in that plan is that everyone who will be part of our administration will publicly declare the asset and declare the contents of the asset. So integrity will be number one. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the Cummings plan that is on YouTube, 6-minute video. We're going to play, and we have to be fair. How long did I read Ben's plan? Maybe 2 minutes. So we're going to play this for another 2 minutes.
There are 5 priorities we have, and we call that the what's. And then there are 5 things we call the how we'll do it. And those priorities are as follows. Our first priority is infrastructure. Simply put, it's electricity, it's roads, it's water, and it's internet and cell phone connectivity across Liberia. We have to invest in infrastructure. That is the top priority. That's the basis on which we can and will do everything else. The second priority for us is job creation. There are too many unemployed, underemployed, and unemployable Liberians. The unemployment rate is over 85%. And therefore, job creation is our next priority, creating jobs for the Liberian people. The next priority is agriculture. We are a country that do not feed ourselves. These are things we can do for ourselves. We should be producing rice to feed ourselves. And my commitment is that by the end of my first term in office, we will be self-sufficient in rice production. And within education, we are focused on vocational training, teachers training, and adult education. But we have to educate our young people because, again, that's how we can help them create jobs. That's how we can train farmers. And so these things are all linked together. And our final priority in terms of the what's is health. Because you can have good infrastructure, you can have a good job, you can feed yourself, you can have great education, but if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter. And so health is our 5th priority, and there we're focused on primary health care and preventive health care. So those are the what's we'll do for our people, for the Liberian people. How are we going to do these things? The first how is we want to engage Liberians differently in the transformation of our country. We call this hearts and minds. How do we get all Liberians to participate in the changes that are required? We're going to use arts and music and culture and reconciliation and religion. All of these things, we will be deliberate.
Mr. Gay, that's a short version of the Cummings plan. What's the summary there, especially on the how?
Absolutely, Mr. Ja. You see, and there's a full documentation to all of these things. You can't have a plan for a nation that you want to run a whole country on a flying sheet called a website, right? I have a background in information technology. That thing is not a website, but let's call it as it may be. It's a sheet, right? Number 2 here, once you want to do something, understand what's at stake first.
I want a summary of the Cummings plan, and then especially.
Oh, okay. So on the summary of the Cummings plan, you heard he gave a timeline on agriculture and how we'll be food sufficient within first term. Number 1 thing, you are old enough to know about the 1979 rice riot, and up to today's date, we have not managed to resolve that issue of rice. We cannot feed ourselves. 95% of all the food on the major commodity on the market imported to our country. The circumstances here about this plan is for Liberians to understand we're going to do this and how we're going to do it, right? Where the money will come from. And the other portion of this video talks about how the money will be generated, where we'll get that money from, domestic revenue, cutting down wasteful spending, creating a wealth within ourselves. Not that we'll not borrow money. We'll borrow money, but it's going to be at a minimum. It will not be our priority first. We'll not say, international partner. Let's start generating funds for ourselves. If you want to start a business, you start that. You yourself got to find money first. I can't call you and say, Dennis, I want to start my business, but I ain't get the first couple or the first penny or the first, rain faucet, right?
Right. At least it's same because we don't use kobo.
I'm sorry.
But thank you, Ben. Your plan does not, and we'll go into the details, but I didn't see the how in your plan. You told me the parts of the plan, you should have the how, when, and all that, and especially how the money will be paid for. So what your plan doesn't have how?
No, you see, that's what I was saying from the onset. When you are crafting policies, right? You do something first called policy briefs. That is a framework. That's what you call. You see, I mean, if I compare to you and myself, those are our bones. You craft policy briefs. That is, you identify the problem and you identify possible solutions. Because what happens is, when I come up with a plan, that's the first thing. I have to engage the experts. Engage the experts because I don't know everything.
So you don't have a plan yet?
No, listen. I do have what I
Most
call
definitely.
policy brief. No, hold on, sir. Hold on. You were coming. Policy brief. You engage the experts. Then after that, you have consultation with the people, because the critical element here on any plan is the people who the plan will impact. Until you can have that, you don't have a final plan. You have what I call policy brief. So that's what we have. We have the framework for a policy brief. After engaging the expert, then we'll come up with a final program after engaging and consultation with the people. If anybody know about public policy, they will know that. Cummings is only using code words. Code words. He said absolutely nothing. Let me say one thing. He said we will reduce. I mean, we will employ our young folks. And he said that unemployment rate in Liberia is 85%. I will challenge any agency folks who is on this show or who's tuning to tell me where he got that information from. Where he got that information from. Let me tell you why. Because
and we'll come to the plan. We're going to debate the plan or the plan. We're going to lay the foundation here.
When somebody speaks as a leader, you should make sure that the information that you provide is verifiable statistically. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, my question to you, let me start with Anthony, is what is Mr. Cummings' ideology that is informing this plan? Where really does he want to get what is his ideology? And let me lay some things out here. Let's say in America, we talk about, there are people that are physically conservative. We talk about the liberal. We talk about and all these different things. For Mr. Cummings, what is this ideology that is informing the plan for Liberia?
He's a progressive Liberian. Yeah, here's the thing. I can tell you for a fact, Mr. Ja, that when you look at Mr. Cummings' plan, it speaks to the overall circumstances that we are faced with today. Electricity. We just spoke about RIA, but RIA is not the only place. Across the nation, electricity is the biggest challenge. And if we do not have electricity, we cannot do all the other things that we're talking about, right? He talked about mega-dash farming and all of the different things. Let me say this, Mr. Ja. You and I and Mr. Fyneah would not be on this platform this evening if we don't have electricity, right? So
let me come back. There are people. Does Mr. Cummings think of Liberia or running the country? Does he think of it as a corporation? Like in America, the corporations are very powerful, right? And so I want to see what he is thinking. Does he have that corporate mindset that okay, it will take? Or does he believe that Liberia things should be free? The government should provide these things free, or is it that trickle down economy? Or how does he really think when it comes to running Liberia? Is it the businesses when businesses do well, it trickle down, and all these kind of different things?
So it's not a trickle down. It's from the bottom up economy Mr. Cummings want to bring to Liberia. The bottom up, Mr. Cummings always talks about the Liberian economy as this border rights, that everybody should have access to this border right.
That's just like socialism.
No, not socialism. When I say border rights, Mr. Dennis, if you're a janitor in Liberia, you should receive your paycheck on time and don't be dependent on the government. Mr. Cummings want to use the private sector. Hold on.
No, what I mean is this bowl of rice that everybody's supposed to have access to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this bowl of rice
that
everybody's going to have access to is
who is controlling this bowl of rice? Is it the government? Is it corporation? Or who is controlling this?
Correct. So in Mr. Cummings' plan, this bowl of rice, the government creates the avenue for private sector to create jobs. Today, 70,000 employees by the Liberian government, the highest employer. Mr. Cummings want to do otherwise. Mr. Cummings want the private sector to be the higher employer in Liberia. But private sector will not function if government don't create the avenue, the environment for them to function, to do business, freedom, protected, well structured so that their business can be safe. Today, security is one of the indicators that shy businesses away from Liberia, right?
Thank you.
So that kind of approach that Mr. Cummings has is from the ground up. The ordinary person also should have access to this economy. It's not from top to bottom thing. Because right now it's not top to bottom. The very few people in Liberia enjoy, and the vast majority are struggling. If you're a classroom teacher or a police officer or a healthcare worker, you must get a decent wage. And your attire, your appearance out there should give you dignity. Today, it's not the case. Look at our police officers, how they look like.
Anthony, one more thing. So when I'm talking about ideology, let's look at healthcare, for example.
Yeah.
Does Cummings believe that everyone is entitled to healthcare, like universal healthcare? Or he believes that if you have the money, you can pay for your own healthcare?
So
what is his thinking?
So here's why Mr. Cummings' approach to the healthcare. It will not be a complete socialist that individual just said who don't do nothing and get healthcare. But individual also contribute to that process. So worrying you would be able to contribute to it, because here's the thing: if you have a job, then you can contribute to paying taxes. Then you can contribute to on your healthcare. But if you do not have a job, like what it is today, then everything government have to do. So Mr. Cummings' plan is not socialist, but it's to give the Liberian the opportunity to strive. You and I, we don't have government job in America, and when government shut down, it does not affect us. In Liberia, when government shut down, the whole country cries, right? So Mr. Cummings' plan is to empower the ordinary Liberian to have access to the same voter rights.
Thank you. Somebody was asking, say, but what if you don't have spoon? Ben, what is your ideology that is informing your plan?
Yes, thank you. First thing first, I just want to make one reaction to what Mr. Anthony said.
Your own reaction.
I mean, electricity. When the ANC folks speak like this, it bothers me, because that means they are not looking at the numbers. They don't understand the data. Moderator is literally like Liberia, where a lot of folks live. How much megawatts do you need to run Monrovia? How much do you need? The ANC people don't know that numbers. You need 100 megawatts.
Are you assuming that?
Let's talk about your ideology. Yeah, we'll come to the plan. We'll lay the foundation here.
I want to address it because this is key.
Please jot it down. You address it later.
Yes, the hydro we have,
Ben,
generates 88 megawatts. So you have to know we don't have a fault. I mean, what's wrong with LEC is incompetence. It's just incompetence. But let me tell you about my ideology. I'm a liberal, right? I believe in the rule of law. I believe in equality of all men, and I believe in the rights of the individual. Last thing, I believe in an economy that works for everyone. I'm a liberal, essentially.
Thank you. My last question before we go into the specific of this plan.
Yeah.
What will a successful Liberia under Benjamin Fyneah look like?
I didn't get you clear.
What will a successful Liberia look like?
Okay, I will tell you this, and this my kind of break some hearts. You see, in our lifetime, based on the disrepair and the maladministration we've had, me and you, we cannot fix Liberia, but we can set Liberia up so that our children and their children will inherit something better from us. Based on what we have since the war years, since 1980s up to now, damages have been done tremendously. So the best we can do is to set Liberia up so that our children and their grandchildren will inherit a better Liberia. Anyone who says something else is just trying to sell a pipe dream. Thank you.
So to you, a successful Liberia will be, give me a picture of a successful Liberia.
Setting the foundation that future Liberians would inherit.
And what does that foundation look like?
Yes, number one, they should have a good economy. Number two, they should understand and respect rule of law. The third one is we should do everything to create the frameworks. The frameworks upon which the future of Liberia will be built and it will be strong. Because you see what happens? We've been having, interruptions, we'll be having wars, we'll be having everything. So if we set Liberia up where Liberians understand and believe in the rule of law, we will not have disruption, we will not have coups and stuff like that. So Liberia will be successful long term, as opposed to 5 years or one term, as Mr. Gay said.
Thank you. Mr. Gay.
Yes.
What will a successful Liberia look like?
A successful Liberia in 6 years, under Mr. Cummings' plan, we will be food sufficient. So food will no longer be a political rice, let me say, will no longer be a political capital of our nation any longer. That people will be able to make better decisions now. Right, bag of rice will no longer be that problem. We will be able to export rice outside our country because we possess up to 46% of the rainforest in West Africa, Liberia is. And look, Liberian will have the opportunity because there will be skill, technical, vocational training school, technology and innovation and all of the different things will help our nation. We will compete in the 21st century. 6 years after Mr. Cummings' plan, Liberians now will be positioned now to compete for jobs on the global scale. Because guess what? You have the skill set, you have the human capital built and all of the different things. Mr. Job, between you and I today, if you were to take a company to Liberia, and for instance, that since I'm in a technological world, let me talk about a call center. You take a call center to Liberia today, it will take you about at least 6 to 7 months to train our employee to be able to bring up or to speak on certain entry level job for them to compete, right? But if we build that infrastructure, if you build up people, train them in the capacity, and we can compete. Today at the University of Liberia, there is not a single computer science course that is offered at the University of Liberia. In Mr. Cummings' first term, those things will no longer be our problem. So that means we'll be able to compete. That doesn't mean that we'll have solved all the problems, but the foundation will be laid, and upon which then the country will strive.
Thank you. Now we're going to take a short break and go into the plans. And we're going to discuss healthcare, the economy, and women issues, women and girls. So prepare yourself. When we come back, we're going to go right into it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching, also get prepared. We're going to be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Thank you so much for being here again. We're going to start with healthcare. And when we talk about the plan, what I want you to pinpoint when I ask you for your plan, I want you to first identify what the problem is you are trying to solve, of course, how you're going to solve it, and how you're going to pay for it. Let's start with Mr. Benjamin Kofa Fyneah on healthcare. What's your plan?
Yeah, the problem with healthcare in Liberia, if I want to sum it up in 2 words, would be what I call access and affordability. That is, if I want a hospital, can I get to one within my local area? And even if I get there, am I able to afford, the cost of it? So under that, assessing all of those things, we want to solve that problem with what I call a national health insurance plan for all Liberians. All Liberians. I have the metrics in terms of how we'll go about it. But if you want me to go long, I can go long. If you want me to be short, if you just wanted the theme, I'll give you the theme. That's the theme of it.
Give me how you're going to pay for it, at least.
Thank you.
Okay, great. That's a wonderful question. I love that question. The first thing I want to ask us on this show, anyone heard about the EPS in Liberia, I mean EPS. Anyone I've heard about them before? It is important here. Let me tell you why. The cost of the EPS.
EPS,
The Executive Management Protection Service.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, the cost for the EPS, I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, I don't know their strength size. It was $12 million. $12 million. $12 million. Just the EPS. And let me tell you what's interested in that. The EPS is more than the LMP. The LMP got $5 million. The LMP that have 8,000 plus women, they got $5 million. Look at the budget of Liberia, it's right there. But the EPS got $12 million. What I'm trying to tell you is the money is there. It's just the allocations that are wrong. You see, when we design these things, we should know what's important to us. And I will tell you this, healthcare. Nothing will work in Liberia if you don't have healthcare. The people who we want to improve anything, they need to be healthy. So what we will do, we will cut spending like the ones we did for the EPS. $12 million to do what? So I can tell you this, based on this one, we can go through a series of them that just wasteful spending. We can cut them off and we can redirect these funds to our healthcare plan. And I will tell you this plan is for every Liberian. Let me tell you why that's important. In the United States, 65% of the budget, now you can look this up, 65% goes to help, goes back to the American people. They go back in the form of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Those are what they call mandatory spending. That is, they are legislated, they are laws. So Republican come, Democrat come, they can't change that because the health of the people is very important. That's why you see my plan. I'm looking at what I call legislation. I want it to be passed into law. So long after we are gone, Liberians can benefit from this plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gay, let's come to healthcare. What is the problem that Mr. Cummings has identified? How is he going to go about solving that problem? And how is he going to pay for it? What's the plan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Job. Before I tell you how Mr. Cummings is going to go about it, Mr. Finn, if I can say, Mr. Kofa, listen, you have an opportunity to sell yourself to the Liberian people, but you keep running the circle. You're not doing yourself any justice tonight. But let me say this. The plan for Mr. Cummings is the only political candidate or presidential aspirant who has traveled to 15 counties of Liberia within an election cycle from 2017 up to present. That's one thing. He had met with medical professional, the healthcare team, and all of that. Even when he donated $150,000 for COVID, he didn't just walk up to them and start giving them material. He did an assessment with 9 different hospitals, and they made their own listing, and those items were bought. That's the kind of leader he is. Liberia today, 2 things. We're going to have preventative healthcare. Public health is very important. Most people, many things today that causing problems is because the people were not educated about it, Mr. Dennis. We have already identified that. Second thing, we will make healthcare affordable to all Liberians. And third thing, there will be access. Because how will you have all of these things done? You need electricity. Electricity is key. You can't build a hospital that will be run by generator. We see many of our loved one family members die from generator. Our hospital now going to be ran by generators. Generator will be a backup plan. So in Mr. Kofat's plan, there's nothing about infrastructure, electricity, right? So again, the thing here is that Mr. Cummings' plan, because he has traveled the nation, because he has canvassed the country, he understands that preventative care is important and access to medical facilities is very important. And people will be trained. We will have professionals. We will have professionals. You will not find somebody with a CNA license performing surgery in Liberia under Mr. Cummings' plan. All right? People will be given the rightful position based on merit. So our healthcare plan under the Cummings' plan is clear that the way it will be paid for will be through the wasteful spending, revenue generation, job creation, and taxes being paid. Because look, the government not going to do everything for all Liberians. Let's just be clear here. But the government will create the avenue for individuals to participate. Because if you don't do so, Mr. Ja, then it becomes a burden on the government. Everything government. Individual will participate.
Thank you. Ben, do you have anything? A rebuttal for Anthony?
When my friend Anthony speaks, sometimes I'm worried. I just hope the ANC, the ANC has something more. To give to myself and to give to Liberians at large. All that was said, I really didn't get the meat. We're going from county to county, but I can bet Mr. Gay right now. I can bet ANC folks. I can bet them. County list by list. They don't even know how many hospitals we have. They don't know how many doctors we have. They don't know how many nurses we have.
So, are you assuming?
No.
Hold on, Anthony.
You see, when when these guys speak, they speak in headlines. They speak in buzzwords. And be careful with that, because when you talk like that, you must have the relevant statistics to back up your claim. I can bet Mr. Gay will know how many hospitals we have in one county. He won't know. He doesn't know. Probably he don't know how many doctors we have. He don't know how many nurses we have. So with this lack of understanding, in terms of what the problem actually is, how do you provide a solution? It's hard. That's why you see. On that thing that you just play, it was just buzzword, just meant to look fine. But where's the nitty gritty? It is sad that our friend here just told us that there is no plan, there is no website, and what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? If we want to see a roadmap, who, what, when, and cost, there's nothing. So it is easy to come and say that the government will create jobs, but then tell us how. Tell us how you create these jobs, and even tell us how you pay for your healthcare plan. I just told you that we are going to. I gave you costing that one list stuff we had that cost more. We will take from this and give to this. But you just use buzzwords. You just say things maybe just to make someone feel fine.
Mr. General, if I may.
Hold on. Let me end. Ben, 30 seconds and then complete.
Most of the things we say, they should be backed by data. And I will just say one thing before I leave. In Moderator, just Moderator alone, if the ANC people can learn this, we have 14 hospitals. I can give you the number of hospitals we have in every county. And if the ANC has any kind of plan, you cannot plan without these things. You cannot plan in isolation. You have to plan with the real statistics in mind or on hand. You have to do research. But and this bothers me when when folks speak, just a theme. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Dennis. It was on this very show. Mr. Kofa, let me say this to you. Do yourself a favor. When you come here, when you call yourself a data guy, then be that data guy. You understand? You said on this very show with Mr. Asunis here, on the very platform, not the show, but on the very platform, that Guinea economy never increased or the GDP never grew since 2017. And that was inaccurate. Larry, who is an economist, debunked that idea. Just now, you just said the LMP number is about 8,000. Misleading information again. We don't have men and women in uniform LMP that are 8,000. All the security apparatus in Liberia don't even reach 8,000. That's a misleading information. When you come on this platform, if you call yourself a data guy, then be succinct with your information. I beseech thee that you do the right thing on this platform. When you come here, you just told me, I don't even know, I'm from Grand Jide, and you say, I don't know how many hospitals in Grand Jide. Seriously?
Excuse me, Mr. Hudson.
Hold on, let him finish. Let him finish. Anthony, are you true?
No, I'm not true, but he interrupted me, so I ran out.
Go ahead, Ben, please wait.
So when you call yourself a data guy, you brag, I'm data, then give accurate information, because this platform is a high integrity platform. Every person who comes here, they respect you and they trust that you will provide succinct information. But to come on here and provide misleading and inaccurate information, it is a disservice to this platform. So I want to give you the opportunity to correct your information. Are you back my time?
Ben?
No, I think you misunderstood. So, I mean, I kind of feel sad. I said the LNP budgetary allotment for 2022 was 5 million. Check the.
That's not what you said.
That's what I said. Maybe you didn't
No,
understand.
Hold on, Anthony.
I'm talking about the budgetary allotment for the Liberian National Police. I was making comparison in terms of how much the EPS got as to how much the LMP got. The budgetary allotment. That's what I was talking about. And let me tell you this, Larry thing. I think Larry was a little bit embarrassed because Larry actually gave wrong figure. I can give you the link to the World Bank, comparative analysis of those economies that you're talking about. Guinea.
And you said the people in our region economy did not grow.
Listen.
All right, no, let's concentrate.
That was inaccurate, sir.
No, listen.
Let's concentrate on tonight's debate. Hold on, Ben. So yeah, I'm meeting you now so that we can get to the meat. All right. So my next question on healthcare: does any one of you know currently how much the government or the country spend on healthcare?
Yes, I do know.
How much?
And, no. And what I would say first, maybe Mr. Gay can go first so we can see what the ANC has.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to use that word. I wanted to use that. I will not use that. You have the opportunity. Don't say, because when I say, you say, oh, that they think what I want to. So they ask you the question. Mr. Ja will determine. You're not going to play that with me here.
No. Well, no. Well, I just said I will yield to Mr. Gay if he knows what we have. So if you don't know, you can say you don't know the number.
So you can say it unless Mr. Gay talks.
Is this the kind of conversation we're going to be having tonight? If he thought I didn't know what to say, then why he come here tonight?
All right.
No.
Let's go to the next issue if I can get an answer. Oh, Mr. Gay, do you know how much the country spend on healthcare?
Absolutely, the country spent up to 15 to $17 million on healthcare.
My question to you, Mr. Gay, again is how does Mr. Cummings want healthcare to be paid for? Let's say, is it through insurance? Is it I'm paying for my? How does Mr. Cummings want healthcare in his plan that citizens should pay for healthcare?
Citizens will pay for healthcare through a national program and through the legislature's program that will be outlined, where the individual will contribute to the plan and they will have service, have access, and everything else. Because here's the thing, and Liberia is a unitarian state, right? Liberia is not a federal nation like the United States, where you say, oh, individual have to go through your state or individual have to go through your county to be able to buy your healthcare plan. You can't buy across network and other things of that nature. That's not the case. Liberia is a unitary state. So because of our form of government, because of how we are structured, we will have one national plan where everyone will play on a level playing field. The same healthcare a lawmaker will get will be the same healthcare or ordinary citizens will get, and there will be a flat rate across the board. After that assessment,
so it's a government managed healthcare plan.
Well, it will be twofold, right? It will be a prioritized, sponsored through the government subsidy, right? So it's not going to be government-run program. So government will provide subsidy through a private company that will run that affair. Because here's the thing: most of the things that are ran by government today, most of the government agency, part of the reason why even Mr. Cummings even talk about prioritizing, LEC and what is why all the different companies, because in country where they are privatized, they function very well. In Georgia, where you are, they got Georgia Power. In Pennsylvania, where I'm at, they got PICO. In New Jersey, they got PSC&G. These are private companies, right?
So for healthcare, is it going to be private healthcare insurance plan or government or both?
It's going to be both. Because the reason why it's going to be both
I get it.
Yeah, for the beginning, it's going to be both, Mr. Job, because we have to balance the people who are in the workforce spur the people who are not in the workforce in the meantime, because we can't automatically come into power and employ all 5 million Liberians. That is virtually impossible, right? So you have to work that balance to be able to bring other people on board, because you can't say because the man is not working, you're not going to get sick, right? So you got to factor all of those things into play so that everyone will not be left behind. Everyone will have the opportunity to have access to quality health care. But as the country progresses, then we can make the necessary adjustment.
And my final question is this: how you feel about it, or is it actually Mr. Cummings' plan?
This is our plan.
Thank you.
Our plan, because
thank you. That's it. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me go to Ben. Ben, how does your plan pay for healthcare?
Okay, first thing I want to say is I just want to, as Mr. Gay, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt again. I want him to tell us exactly the amount that he stated and for which year, how much we spend on healthcare in Liberia. Maybe we can.
Mr. Ben, we're going past that question already.
Ben, answer my question that I'm asking you. You didn't want to answer the question, so we move past it. Tell me, how will citizens of Liberia pay for healthcare?
Listen to this. Number one, to solve a problem, you have to understand it.
That's why I asked you. You didn't answer it. We have to go ahead.
I will respond, but let me answer this. Mr. Gay said between 14 million, thereabout. You see, this is it speaks to the lack of having access to the data. Liberia spent this year, we are scheduled to spend almost $83 million on healthcare. And you say 14, last year we spent $74 million on healthcare. So you see, if somebody don't even have a grasp or understanding of the numbers, then where are we going? Let me tell you this. I said it from the onset. The way we will pay for healthcare, there are 2 ways.
No, not. I mean individuals. If I'm sick, how do I pay for care as a citizen? How do citizens pay for health care?
Okay, great. There will be 2 ways here. You see, when we are designing this thing, we have private sector partnership. Then we also design, like my plan I have, a national insurance scheme for all Liberians. So what will happen is government will mostly subsidize initially. You see, my friend Anthony, talked about,
Ben, talk about your plan. Talk about how citizens pay. Forget what Anthony said. Yeah, let me get what you're going to say.
I got to reinforce this.
Yeah, no, come to him after you tell me what I said that you're going to do to pay for citizens to pay for care.
We will cut spending. We will cut what I call wasteful spending.
No, I'm talking about my sister in Bannersville when they are sick. How do they pay for the health care?
We give them what I call government health insurance plan. That's what we give them. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that is key. Because of the non-availability of jobs, government has to step in. You have a significant number of the people, I use the word significant number of the people, unemployed. So for the initial time being, we will float out what I call government health insurance scheme that will be fully funded by the government through budgetary allotment. That's what we will do.
And just on top of your head, do you think about the premium that a citizen going to pay? How much you think? Someone who is not working, 0?
Yes, this is how it works. We will identify everybody uniquely and give them a card. This is what we call a health card. When you go to the hospital, because we don't go there for the same thing, your bill, I would say, your bill will be sent to the state, because the state will initially make funds available to hospital to subsidize for those bills. That's what we do.
Thank you. And to pay for this, you're going to cut money from EPS and bring it to this other one
from the legislature. That makes millions. We'll cut all them and put them in healthcare so that our people can be healthy. Yes, that's what we do. So you have a card, you show up, you get your, you get sane, you get your drugs, then you go home and the bill be sent to the state, which will be subsidized by the monies we make available to the hospital. Yeah.
Thank you. And the reason I'm bringing this thing up that I'm not forcing you to have this already planned, right? But these are things that we're supposed to start thinking about.
No, these are good.
Because what you are telling me, if you know how much it's going to cost for a government-run health care you're not going to get that money from cutting what is already in the budget.
No,
that money is
I will
small.
tell
You
this.
can't compare that.
Let me tell you this. That you should ask me how I'll pay for it. Let me tell you this.
You told me already. You told me how you
the
can pay
plan
for
that
it.
I initially floated, the cost of my plan, no, you didn't ask me the cost of my plan, would be initially $200 million. $200 million. Let me tell you this. Probably the ANC people don't know. The LRA for the last 4 years have been having increases. I'm talking about tremendous increases. What we will do, we will increase the capacity of the LRA to bring in more money. And most of that extra cash we'll bring in will direct them straight to healthcare. That's how
So when you say increase the capacity of the LRA, meaning
Where am I going to take the money from?
employ more people, or what is that capacity you're talking about?
No. We deploy technologies. We don't have to employ more people. We deploy technology.
So how is that going to help?
Okay.
How is that going to help with the capacity of the LRA?
Yes. Because right now, I don't want someone to go to a bank to pay income tax or to pay any tax. I want somebody to go online automatically, to just automatically pay taxes online. So that means every cent that is due the state goes to the government. It don't go to John Brown before going to us. No. So when we introduce information technology, we will bring in more money.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Gay, you also talk about getting money, cutting wasteful spending, and you said the major issue in Liberia is preventative care.
Yes.
And that's so when you talk about the problem when it comes to healthcare, the problem people face is preventative healthcare. Again, let's go back to when I was talking about how the private plans and the government plan, and you are saying in order to pay for that, you're going to cut money from other ministry wasteful spending.
We're not going to cut money for other ministry, but there are already money that are being generated that are not going directly into the government cover, but any other individual pockets right now. For instance,
do you have a number? Do you have any number to throw around to say, well, the government insurance plan is going to cost this? If we cut wasteful spending and other corrupt money, is going to be this amount. So we're going to use this to pay for this. Do you have any number?
Right now, they're still working on the number, but I can tell you for a fact, the idea that I gave you, that's how it's going to be addressed. Okay. We have 5 million people today in Liberia. All 5 million that don't have a job, right? So the way to address the issue is to create jobs, while more people will be put into the workforce, and they will be generating income, and they will afford to participate into the healthcare plan. And then the second part is bringing those people who don't have jobs now through government subsidies. How would that government subsidy be paid for? Is through the wasteful spending. For instance, the passport era today, we do not know how much money is going to people's pocket, because right now to get passport in Liberia, you can pay for.
So can you quantify that wasteful spending? And
yes, I'm going to quantify it today, right? So, for instance, if you go pay for your passport, in my case, you go pay for your passport, you pay for your passport here, you go to Liberia, they say they don't recognize your receipt. That will not happen any longer. When you pay for your passport, it goes strictly into government account, and you have a flag receipt, and you can get your passport. All the loopholes, what individuals are getting money, for instance, the free port, they are getting money, and you got 23 different areas you have to pay money. You will get one-stop shop, and you pay that money, go strictly into the account. Because here's the thing, when you can adequately collect revenue, Mr. Ja, you will be able to generate. That's why Mr. Cummings said the $500 million is not enough. You will raise the national budget to $1 billion or $2 billion.
So, Anthony,
to address the current circumstances. So, if we're raising the national budget currently today, part of the reason why, and here's why I disagree with Mr. Kufa, is because he wants to take money from EPS when we're having security issues. Most of these police officers today, they don't even have the logistics. EPS don't even have the logistics. NSA don't even have the logistics to soft ground. If you're taking money out of their pocket when they're already struggling, that means you're going to create more harm. What we would do, when you buy a plane ticket to go to Liberia, there is some money go strictly into the go about $85 to $125 to go to.
Mr. Gay, sorry to interrupt you, but let's just use the Freeport scenario that you mentioned.
Yes.
If we close all the loopholes at Freeport,
yes,
how much money are we going to save? Do you have a rough idea?
we're gonna be saving close to $35 to $40 million a year.
How you know that?
Yes, how I know. I sent a 2000 for 150. That car, I bought it from the Australian cheap. I paid more money for that car in Liberia than the price I pay here, right? Not only that, there is this broker fee. There is this other person fee. 23 different people you have to go through. That is a dream killer. Do you think I want the same car again to Liberia? No. Yes, what we do. Yes, what we do. For instance, according to Mr. Cummings, we will get say each container that come to Liberia a flat rate. Right. For instance, $2,000 or $3,000 flat rate. Whatever in our container or what not in our container, you pay that flat rate, you don't. So when we have 1,000 container, we multiply it by 2,000. We know how many container came there. When we have 5,000 container, we multiply it by that money. We know how much money come there. But today, the government of Liberia cannot tell you how much they generate for each container because each person has to get the card.
Thank you. Thank you. So all I'm trying to get at here is you're going to tell me if we close all the loopholes, even the one that are as small as the safety hole, if we close all, we're going to generate this amount, and this amount we're going to use this to do X, Y, Z. I know these are in the formative stage, but that's what the both campaigns should be thinking about. And I want to extend an invitation here to Mr. Cummings so we can discuss his plan. Okay, please convey that message to Mr. Cummings and Mr. Fyneah. I will have you again so that we can talk about this. Let's go to the economy. And how are we doing so far?
I want to say something.
Ben, we got to move on to the economy. You're going to say, you can say that in the economic sector.
No, Liberia.
Ben.
No, listen now.
All right. Let's go to the economy. And Ben, I will let you go first. Again, when we say the economy, that's a whole lot. So just tell me the major problem, how you're going to do it, and where you're going to find the money to pay for it. This time, we're going to go to, I think we started with you first on healthcare.
No.
So let's go to Anthony for the economy. Mr. Gay.
Yes.
The Cummings plan for the economy. What is the problem?
For the economy, that's Cummings' strength when it comes to the economy. That's his strength. That's the second nature to him. Look, okay. Mr. Cummings was the first aspirant who talked about raising the national budget to $1 billion or $2 billion to address this 21st century Liberia.
He didn't tell us how.
No, he did. He did say how.
Okay, go ahead.
So, in order for us to do well in the region, we must first address our national security issue. All right? You cannot have investors coming to your country who will be looking over the shoulder or go Google your country right now and say, oh, mysterious death everywhere around the place. People dying, they can't be accounted for. Nothing. No investigation, or investigation is sideways. We got over 22 deaths now, unresolved, right? In counting, unresolved. Now, the Princess Cooper situation was the 20th. The two other people have been added now, 22 now. And we have this, God forbid, we hope that he not turned up being dead. My brother and good friend, childhood friend, Alfred Dunner from Grand Juda County, the next magistrate from Grand Juda County, who went missing 10 days today. Look, this kind of news is discouraging. No investor, only risking businessmen and women, people who like to do connoisseur work, according to our Liberian article balance, will come to invest in Liberia. Or serious money business people will leave, like the way Sun Derby and Coca-Cola and the rest of the other company, total left Liberia. They will leave because they want to invest in a safe environment. That's point number one. Address the security issue. Make the people to trust. The second thing, the leader. The people must trust the leader. When a leader was president, say whatever you want. People trusted her. People said she was like this. That's why businesses flocked to Liberia. When she left, businesses left. So when you have a leader that people trust, like the caliber of Alexander Benedict Cummings, people will flock to Liberia to do business because they will say, Mr. Cummings has a track record where he took Coca-Cola to country that they never had Coca-Cola during his leadership. And Coca-Cola did well there. So that caliber of a person will not be a president and businesses will not come to Liberia. He has a track record where Coca-Cola were taking the country that they were never operating in. And today they are doing well there. So point number 3 to our economy is to have the integrity institution to have the rightful resources to adequately deploy and operate independently. The LSCC, the LRA. This institution must be empowered and have the necessary logistics to do their job. So if one person is caught in the act of corruption, Mr. Cummings said on the show the other day during an interview that he will ask that person to step aside pending investigation. If the investigation proves otherwise, if deemed necessary, that person can be brought back. But we've been seeing so many investigations while people still have the job. What sort of investigation is that? The men still get paid, the ladies still get paid, they still go to work, still get the same salary, then you say you're investigating them. No, they must understand that, hey, something happened here, we got to get to the bottom of it, right? And to make the people to trust you, the previous government will be audited. And the Liberian people will know what was inherited, what he's starting with from day one and going forward. Those things, Mr. Jai, if you put those things into perspective, then you can start addressing those other areas that are problem. Electricity, number one thing, it will create jobs. Man Musu don't want to be minister, but Man Musu can talk away. Man Sarah don't want to be assistant minister, but she can also talk water, sell ice, right? Those people will also sell and go to the Jalo shop and buy. The local economy will start to have an impact. But again, you pay the police officer and the teachers and the healthcare worker decent wage, good living wage. Why police officers should beg? How many young men today aspire to become a police officer in Liberia? Not today. Back in the day, yes. So those things, when all of those moving parts start to get into play, it will be like a well-oiled machine, and the economy will start moving. People will start working, they will start getting that pay, and then the local economy will start booming. But if you don't put those things into perspective, Mr. Ja, you can be the best economist ever, you will struggle. So law and order on day one, that executive order will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. But I know none of us here are economists. Right, none of us here are economists. I just want you to give me some numbers from the Cummings' plan. So, for instance, Cummings, there are something we call the economic indicators. Growth rate, interest rate, inflation rate, unemployment, government debt to GDP, balance of trade. So, in your mind, because Mr. Cummings has a track record, that integrity, or because the security system or the security sector is good, that's going to reduce unemployment, that's going to reduce inflation, that's going to... No, that's what I was looking for.
So let me give you those direct answer that you want. For instance, let's look at a Freeport. You tell every shipper, Liberian shipper that ship to the Freeport, one of the nightmares at that Freeport is releasing that container from the port. If there is a flat rate, for instance, let's pick a number, $2,500 per container. You pay your $2,500 here, you get your receipt, your container come, you clear.
Right. So last, before I let you go, Mr. Cummings talk about increasing the budget to how much again? How is he going to do it? Just give me in 1 minute. How?
He's gonna do it by he's gonna increase the national budget to $1 billion or $2 billion by cutting the waste, because right now there's too much waste in government.
And we don't know this. You can put a number to it.
Here's the waste. There will not be 30 men or women traveling when that Antara will cut. That extra government saving right there. There will not be all ministers coming to do article groundbreaking ceremony, because that ministry is supposed to generate money and every one of you there. Those things will not happen. 15 or 20 car convoy, or somebody going to a hotel and sending a 5-star hotel, everybody flying business class. Those things, all that money will be saved. That money will be.
Thank you.
That money will help our country. That's where the money will come from, because those are waste. When
Thank
the
you.
money that they went for, when they traveled to Asia for Ito and Bowman loan, they didn't even read it, and over 200,000 was spent. That money could have saved and do something. You
Thank
like
you.
getting $100,000 a year and 300,000 promise. That kind of money will not be spent like that.
Thank you. I hammer you 2 more. Let me go to Ben. Ben, what's your economic plan? You heard everything that I asked Anthony. That's the same question. Those are the same question for you.
First thing, we have to address some of the things that Mr. Gay said. I think it's scary. I don't think the ANC will subscribe to having a flat rate. I mean, for a container, I can put a Lamborghini, in a container. I can put a BMW in a container, as well as I can put a old car in a container. We cannot have flat rate. That makes no economic sense. That would make us to even incur more losses. I don't think the ANC subscribe to that. Maybe
I can give you countries that have that kind of flat rate now.
I want to assume that was a mistake, but we cannot have a flat rate. It makes no economic sense. That's why I was trying to show it. But let me tell you this: how we will improve the economy of Liberia. You see, I always tell folks this, and that's what I told you from the onset of this thing. All of us on this show, we can do our best in terms of setting Liberia up to succeed in our lifetime. If we say we will change Liberia, we will not be saying the truth. Let me tell you this. Liberia right now doesn't have what I call a functioning economy. We don't have that. Number one, for an economy to function well, every individual that lives within the economic space must be uniquely identified. That is very important. Here you have Social Security number, Social Security 2. Now, 2, everybody must have an everybody must have what I call an enforceable address. That is, I must know where John Brown lives. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you, you shook your head. Probably you don't understand how it works.
Please don't look at his body language. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. You see, the LRA could raise a lot of money from real estate taxes if we just have an enforceable address system. That could be additional fund going straight to the government of Liberia. I will tell you this. West Point, nobody knows how many houses are there. Nobody knows that. Most of the houses that don't pay real estate taxes. So if we have an enforceable address system, the people who own those houses, they will be forced to pay real estate tax that you and I pay every year. You see, we have to lay the framework upon which the economy will be built. We do not have them. We do not have the framework right now. So what I would do, my plan is to set up the basic framework upon which an economy can be built. When you talk about this, it's just like a pipe dream, because the framework, the foundational aspect that will sustain an economy, they are absent. You can measure nothing. The IMF, speculate when it comes to Liberia. They don't have empirical data. We don't have the framework upon which to build a thriving economy. So until we can set them up, and enforce them, that's the only way I will tell you I will improve the Liberia economy. Right now, we don't have the framework for a functioning economy. That's what I would say. So my goal would be to basically set up the framework upon which a functioning economy will be built. Number one.
Okay. I want to see how it looks like.
Technology. Most of our transactions, most of the government transactions will be done online. Most government transactions, because what happened? You reduce time and you reduce interaction with individuals. Like Mr. Gates said, rightly so, most of the funds that folks have to pay taxes and all those kind of things, they go to individuals. If I deploy technology, you will pay the funds directly to the government. So that is very good. And number 2, one of the things we will do is accountability, because there are lots of people in Liberia who misappropriate, who embezzle government money, but they are not held accountable. All of that could be savings for the government. And I tell you this, when you hold people accountable, others will be afraid to engage in malfeasance. So the major thing we will employ is technology, because that will remove a lot of third-party and fourth-party interaction. And most of the funds that is geared towards the state will go directly to the state. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me hear an example of technology. Is it like there's a Liberian brother who is doing
yes,
Canada Cash? We
Yes.
pay.
Okay.
And
Now, you know,
and if you
Mr.
give me
Gay
that
raised a good point.
example, tell me how much.
Yes.
How is that going to? Okay, let me tell you also this. Currently, our annual GDP annual growth rate, the last -3. We from -2.5 to -3, right? So how are you going to improve that growth rate by the technology you're talking about? Come
Yes,
on,
you
man,
see,
give me some meat here.
now,
The data
what you
maker
see,
even provide data.
no. Now, I want you to see this. You see, this shows that Cummings and others don't understand. There can
Where
be
is your
no,
data?
listen, oh, my friend, listen
Wait,
small.
I'm muting him. Go ahead, Ben.
Yes, there can be no negative GDP. Search it on your phone right now. Government Liberia don't know numbers. There can be negative growth, but there can be no negative GDP. You cannot have that. That's
No, I
impossible.
said negative GDP growth rate. That's the
That's what I'm
-3.
saying. There can be no negative GDP growth. There can be none. There can be none. Because at least somebody saw a pin. GDP is the sum of all the economic activities. There can be no, you see,
Oh, you said the growth rate is never negative.
it can never be, search it on your phone, search it on the internet. There can be no negative GDP growth. There can be no negative. But you see,
Ben, come on,
Cummings don't
man.
know these things. Cummings don't know them. He don't understand them. These are numbers that the leaders should know. You should question the government. Why are you
No,
having
I'm
this?
giving this number. It's not from coming. I'm giving this number based on my research.
That's what I'm saying. Cummings should be questioning this number because he's a leader. That's what I'm questioning now. There can be no negative GDP growth. It's impossible to have that. It's
Ben,
impossible.
why?
So government of Liberia lied. That makes no sense.
No, that's not from government of Liberia. But anyway, I don't want us to argue economics here because my
Mr. John, have your producer research that and prove Ben wrong, because sometimes Ben he spew things out here that are not accurate, and we're not going to be allowed to kind of thing on this platform.
I don't know where Ben coming from. Say
another thing
growth
I
rate
want to
can
ask
never be
Ben,
negative.
another thing I want to ask Ben before we proceed: what is the property tax rate in Liberia?
Well, if you
The real estate property tax rate, what is it?
No.
Because you mentioned something about property tax rate.
Don't introduce your own. We have a Ben.
I can answer.
Jimmy is telling you, say this is wrong. You can have a negative growth rate.
Yeah, they always come here and give
I'm
you
telling
false
you,
information.
and
Always
Ben-
just that we're confident.
And Ben, let's go to tradingeconomics.com, Liberia, and go to the indicators.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
not argue economics. I
Mr.
want
Mr.
to.
Jah,
Yeah, let's settle this.
Hold on.
We'll come on here
No, let's settle this.
and we'll
Tap on your
give you
computer.
this
Tap on your
information with
computer. Can there
confidence.
be a negative
And
GDP?
that is not good.
Tap on
No,
your computer.
negative GDP growth rate.
Yes.
If you are
tap
not
it.
growing, you declining, it will be negative.
No.
Ben, how is that? How
It will be negative.
That one, come and say, you
No,
have to be an economist to do that one. But
Mr. Jah, there can never be a
progress.
negative growth in GDP. There can never be
Why?
that. There
No,
can never
the
be.
growth rate. I'm not saying it's rate.
That's what I'm
How
saying.
is
There
the
can
GDP
never be.
growing?
There can never be a
Ben.
negative GDP.
Okay, Ben, let me do it. At least this much I know, right? If you grow,
This is the same man that said that the whole region, that economy never grew in 3 years.
Hold on. Let me put my math teacher hat on now. Ben is trying to do something here. So if you grow, if you made $2 this year, next year if you make $10, the other year you made $25, what is your growth rate?
Thank you.
No.
Hold on. That growth rate will be positive, right? But if you are not growing, you're going backwards, it will be negative.
Well, we have this elementary conversation. Let's move on.
Mr. Jah, don't
All right,
fall
let's-
victim to this. Don't
Let's
fall
move
victim to
on,
this.
Mr. Jah.
The economy economic is a measurement of the totality of the economic activity in a country. You can never have a negative GDP growth. You can never have that. You can't. You can never have that.
No, I disagree. Let's move forward.
Yeah, we're gonna move forward. Let's introduce the women issues, women and girls, and then we bring in our callers. So callers, get ready. The last area here is women and girls, SGBV, and all the 9 years, sexual harassment in the workplace. I've seen Ben, Anthony. Let me start with you on this one. Does Cummings have anything about women issue in his plan?
Absolutely.
Okay, where is this plan? You say it's in a PDF.
It's in the same video you're playing. They play all of it.
Okay. All right. Tell me what is the problem Mr. Cummings has identified and how he's going to solve it. Ben,
It's a zero tolerance
Ben
on
misspoke.
any
You can have
sexual
negative
base.
growth rate. Ben, look at this. Don't do this before you derail your campaign tonight.
Mr.
He
John,
does
I'm
that
telling
all
you,
the time with confidence.
these
He
people
comes
don't
on
know
their platform
economics.
All right,
and say things with confidence as if they are true.
Go
This
ahead,
man,
Anthony.
you gotta be careful with this man.
Go ahead. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Mr. Cummings' plan with
Under Mr. Cummings' plan, there will be zero tolerance.
Everybody says that. How?
No, hold on.
Mhm.
When you work with a person, their character speaks for itself. There's one thing to say, I'm Mr. Good. And there's another thing for the character itself to show out, right? Women and girls have been taken advantage of, even in this very government, that they neglect the circumstances of women being raped, children being molested, to the extent that a 3-year-old child private part was torn for the perpetrator to fit in. That was despicable. And what happened? Nothing to the perpetrator. This government, under the Cummings' plan, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. That means the institution responsible to handle those things will be funded appropriately. The resources, logistics, everything. People will be fingerprinted. Technology will be used. DNA machines. If you are caught and giving the due process, and the evidence show that you commit that crime, you're going to jail. Just resigning from your job will not be sufficient. That comes with minister, government official, layman, each person. Mr. Cummings is very passionate about this. Look, Mr. Jack, our society has been traumatized in the way in which this government has embodied bad behavior in Liberia.
So what is zero tolerance? Give me more as what Cummings is going to do. First of all,
there's zero tolerance.
Hold on. What does Mr. Cummings think is responsible for this issue, and how is he going to address that? And where is the money going to come from to pay for it?
3 things. Number 1, when someone does wrong, like bring it home in our household. If our children does wrong or do wrong, if our children do wrong, or if a child does wrong, if you don't punish that child or discipline that child continue to do the same thing. We must set an example. And Mr. Cummings always say he will set an example that if someone does wrong, especially violating a female or child or a male child, look, you will be brought to justice. You will be given a fair share of justice. If it can be proven that you committed that act, you will go to jail. You will do your time. Let other children go to the prison. Let other people go to the prison and see you doing your time. It will be on your record. We don't have that. We don't even have a national sex registry in Liberia. Under the Cummings plan, we'll have national sex registry. So when you're a sex offender, you move from Bonkante to Bomi or Grand Cape Mount or River Sex or Grand Jide. Guess what? You will be in the system. Yeah. People will know that you are a sex offender.
And these things cost money. How will Mr. Cummings pay for it?
Mr. Cummings told you in his plan, in 6 years period will be full sufficient. The about $200 million that is spent on rice import annually alone, that is a huge chunk of money. Rice import alone, about $200 million is spent annually. If we can feed ourselves, that extra cash going in our pocket that can go towards those things.
Thank you.
If we can cut down wasteful spending, pay people what they deserve, you only take your salary. That extra cash, gas level, other things will be cut off. Look, why should I pay for?
Wait, Anthony, because it's like, because I don't want you to dig hole and cover hole, right? You said the money that's going to come from the saving we get from agriculture, we use that to pay for this other project, right? But where is that money going to come from to make us self-sufficient? Is it a matter of cutting wasteful spending?
No. So, Mr. Ja,
yeah.
Today in Liberia, if the government tighten her pocket and do the right thing, all the extravaganza trip and extra money that government spending, giving extra money to people they don't supposed to give it to. If we take it for example, $300,000 promised to Eula. If that $300,000 is given to our agency to work after women and children, it can have something to be done, right? If the $30,000 are given to our lawmaker, that $30,000 was not given to 103 lawmakers. That's over 4 million.
Thank you.
That money can go somewhere else. So many other different areas. Now, everything will not come from one sector. It will be an overhaul.
Right. And you're not really telling me about the revenue generation. You want to talk about cotton, but let me go to Ben.
Yes, the revenue generation.
No, your time finished. Let me go to Ben because
okay, give me 30 seconds. Let me go to 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Ecotourism. The tourism sector where people will walk our forest, will pay money to see wildlife.
Right.
That's money generating thing there.
My hometown alone, a tourist center.
I'm telling you,
thank you, Ben. Who said I come from Sastown? Let me go to Ben. Ben, on women issue, what are the issues? How are you going to address them? And where the money going to come from?
Yes, I have to say first thing first. You know, it is scary. I hope Anthony doesn't speak for the ANC, because to say you will have you will track sex offender from one county to another and out listing the framework under which you would do that is scary. Let me tell you what we would do. The number one issue that female face in Liberia is the existence of impunity when it comes to women's rights. The existence of impunity. People who break the law, people who harm females, they are not sufficiently held accountable. Right now, as we speak, we have what they call WAJU, Women and Juvenile Unit within the LMP. We will empower them. That is, we'll give them more money. We'll also give them access to sufficient manpower. The third thing we will do, we will set up a special court for what I call gender-based violence. It will be a fast-track court so that we will sufficiently hold people accountable for those vicious acts. Let me give you one interesting stat. Women in Liberia constitute almost 50% of the population, but socially, they have been socialized. To an extent where they have been boxed. We want to help them exercise and regain their rights. Number one, representation. Look at the leadership in Liberia. All of the political parties, women most times they are absent. Now, let's look at our lawmakers. Gender imbalance is heavily pronounced there. Now, we will try to do everything possible to encourage women to express their right and be proud and make sure that anyone who violates their rights in any way, shape, or form will be held accountable. Number one, like I said, we will constitute a fast-track court for gender-based violence, especially so. Number two, we will empower the LMP, WAJU, to deal with this case in a timely manner and on a timely basis. What women face right now, the number one issue that they face in Liberia right now is sexual or gender-based violence. We hear cases of rapes. There was,
right.
There's one report that
how are you going to combat that and how you pay for it? Go ahead, quickly. 1 minute.
Huh?
How are you going to combat SGBV and where the money going to come from?
I'm just saying, you look at your national budget. Your budget is filled with waste, my brother. NSA, look at NSA. Look at how much NSA get last.
But Ben, everybody keeps going to the budget. Budget is not money. It's just where you going to get the money from before you get in the budget? Budget itself is not a bank.
Mr. John, let me tell you one key thing.
Yeah.
Budget before we design them, we should have in mind something called a budget performance report. That is what we did last year. You know how effective were the appropriations, so that we can either fund more or we can fund less.
I want to hear more of the revenue stream. Where the money going to come from?
Yes,
and you go to the budget. The budget is just a tool, just a paper.
Mr. Jha, the revenues, they are there. They are just being misappropriated. That's what's happening.
Okay, I got you.
Spend wisely. The money is there, but it's just been misappropriated. You see, we're spending
So
on the
Ben, you
wrong.
can tell me the money is there. How much is our budget?
The
It's not
budget-
even, that's 7, you know, the 7 million they told us was a lie.
No.
So let's say the budget is 5. What can you do with 5-6 million?
No.
The money
That's
in that budget cannot support education alone.
that's what sufficient detail will be. I mean, sufficient detail and attention.
No, but we keep referring to the budget, and what we have, the entire Liberian budget cannot even support one sector of our economy.
Listen, sir. Sufficient attention will go into crafting the budget because the budget is designed wrongly. We are spending on the wrong priorities. We are not spending on
You said it was the allocation.
Yes, there's a major problem with that because before you draft the budget, like I said, you should base your drafting on the previous year budget, which is called budget performance report. How effective were your spending? And when it comes to women's rights, it's very important. That should be a high priority. High priority for any government. So
Thank you.
Give it very, 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 very high sense of urgency in terms of dealing with gender-based violence.
Thank you. I only brought these things up so that we can start thinking about it.
Mr. Dene, before we proceed on the next topic,
No, we're not going to
the revenue aspect. Another revenue aspect is our natural resources. Are we getting the full value?
Hold on, Anthony. I want to bring in our callers because time is fast spent. Ben is still at work. He needs to get home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's get to our callers. Callers, if you want to join the conversation, the number is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. And a few of the comments, Ben, that thing you talk about negative growth rate. So let's get our first caller here, and that is Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, you are live.
Okay, brilliant show. I really appreciate the show tonight. Ben, I really appreciate how you were representing yourself here. You showed that you were doing your homework, except when you came to the GDP growth rate. We're talking about a change when we talk about growth. As a delta, a negative can be applied to any change. But my real question for you, Ben, you're sitting down here in the U.S. with us. You have less than you had just over a year and a half to run an effective campaign. It took Weah several years before he finally won the presidency. How do you plan, with only a year and a half to go, to win the presidency in such a short amount of time? That's all my question to you is.
So your assumption is Ben say he wants to win, right? Why is it?
I think he's
Ben gonna join the ANC very soon.
Okay, Ben, that's a question for you. Go ahead.
I want to say
You not answer that question.
No, I respect your opinion, but I will not join the ANC because the ANC has no vision. The ANC will not lead Liberia anywhere. But let me answer what Mr. Eastman said. Those that are on the ground right now, I just want to ask him. I'll use this as a basis for dialogue. How effective are they right now? How effective are those on the ground right now? You see, these are the kind of things that inspire me, because before I get involved in any endeavor, I do sufficient planning. Cummings went to Liberia with insufficient ideas, blueprint. See where he is right now. He aligned himself with all kinds of folks. Look where he's at right now. This is what I call a lack of critical judgment. So I'm making sufficient judgment. By December of this year, I will be in Liberia. Cummings is there right now, and as we can speak now, there's nothing from the ANC camp. All we are hearing is framework fingering, going to court, going out of court, hiring international lawyer. How is that affecting anybody? Cummings is literally he's literally at the standstill.
Thank you. Let me allow the second.
Bring the second caller here.
Let me bring the second caller, and the second caller is another regular. Okay, Evans, go ahead, and you can turn your gadget off.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jha. Quickly, I just want to tell you thank you for bringing these two guys on the show tonight. This is what makes this platform a special platform. The fact that you go to the issues and, discuss things of substance instead of just sensationalizing topics. But quickly, I just want to point my comments to Mr. Kofa. I said something in the comments earlier, and I do really admire his temperament. I think he has a good temperament about him. I'm sure he's a good family man, and perhaps maybe even a good husband. But I think when it comes to being a politician, he has some catching up to do. One of the things that concern me when it comes to him about his campaign is the lack of people around him. I don't know if he has a team, but I haven't seen anybody else besides him articulating his plans for the country. And secondly, I just feel like, we don't know much about him. I don't know what qualification or what unique qualifications he has to be president of an entire country. I mean, I'm sure maybe he's done well in his place of employment. Maybe he's up to a managerial level. But what separates him from the everyday Liberian person who goes to a factory up to work? What skills do he have or does he have that will propel him to the presidency of our country? I mean, we have to know a little bit more about him. I want to be open-minded. I'm not going to just kind of throw him to the bin and say, well, he has no chance. He could be a gem, in the mud. But we just don't know much about him. And I think he did kind of a poor job tonight articulating his plans. I mean, he kind of sat back. You're the presidential candidate debating some communication guy on the platform. You should be more assertive and more articulate with your plans. So I just want to give those quick, criticism in some way, but also tell him that I admire his temperament. I think he's a good man overall. But when it comes to the politics of it all, I don't think he really did a good job tonight. Thank you for taking my call, Mr.
So Evan, what critique you have for Anthony as well? You got to be fair now.
Well, Anthony is like a rabbit. He's like an Energizer bunny that just keeps going. And sometimes it's quite annoying. But again, in terms of debating, he wins in that point, because in a debate, you just want to overtalk the other person and just get your point across. And I think he does that well. But in terms of the substance itself, he kind of veers off to the left most of the time when he's trying to articulate his points. He goes off on a tangent and he doesn't really stick to the main point. But overall, I think as a talking head, he's done his job tonight. So I'll give that to him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John.
Thank you.
Thanks for your feedback.
All right, let me get Aliyu Kamara. Mr. Aliyu.
Dennis, how you doing today? Hello to the folks on there. I like to be honest. I love my people. I love my Liberian people so much. So I love telling the truth. Benjamin, if you're trying to run from president, don't run. Benjamin, if that $25 you get a spend, you will lose it. You will not. That waste of your own time. Don't run, my brother. You're not get it.
Ben is a Boca supporter, so don't feel bad.
No, Benjamin, I'll be honest with you. Don't find out anything. People like that will laugh at you. People like that will laugh at you. Okay? Anthony does, Cummings really know that you can't hear making more of him. Every time you be more like, you not even know what he's doing. I mean, there are other ways you can help Arizona Cummings rather than acting like you're speaking for him. I don't think, look, if they can. But
Aliyu, I want you to identify yourself as GNB supporter first.
Thank you. Do the obvious thing first.
No, but introduce yourself first.
Introduce yourself. Don't be this guy.
You already know. I didn't introduce myself.
Okay, go ahead.
So how are your ARTS address the electricity issue in Liberia?
So the next debate here will be between ANC and UP.
You will come?
To be honest, but let me just say this. I think the campaign of the ANC should try to structure themselves a bit more organized. You can't just have everyone talking. People have different gifts. People can have different attributes. The ANC must sit down now together and try to realize what can someone do or where does an individual fit instead of everybody just talking because they're doing couple. This guy doesn't have what it takes to defend that. I'm helping them out here, and they should appreciate me for doing that. But let me just say, Dennis, thanks to Focus on Liberia. One of the unique things about Focus on Liberia is that You create room for everybody. You sit over there, you're laughing, you're seeing these two guys ignorant, and you enjoying it. But the fact is,
Aliyu, come on.
the fact is, you create room for everybody. Even better, Aliyu, you can create room for you on the show. And that is the unique thing about Focus on Liberia, that everybody can be given the opportunity to either show their knowledge or their ignorance.
So what is your point of the conversation?
Oh, thank you, Aliyu. Don't bring Aliyu by. You talk enough now.
Mr. Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead.
We should have the conversation. He will not come here. He will run.
Go ahead. Just give your you have 1 minute to respond to all the callers, and then Ben 1 minute. Then we can summarize.
Well, I think Elvis gave a fair assessment. I mean, look, people will give their opinion, and that's fine for me. I don't take these things personal. I think it makes me a better person. I love feedback, whether positive, negative. Today is not election day in Liberia, so when they say, "Oh, they didn't do it this way," we can make an adjustment. So I don't have no problem with people giving that feedback, and I like that. Look, Mr. Dennis, anytime you guys call upon me, I'm always here. Mr. Jai will say, not Dennis. Yeah, I will always come here but many of those guys who will criticize us, when you call them today, they will give all the excuses. You know why? Because ARTS is just a blank acronym. It does not address a lot of things of Liberia. For a person who served for 12 years, come on the ARTS, agriculture, road, tourism and sanitation. How does it address article healthcare? How does it address infrastructure? So look, we come here because we trust the plan that Mr. Cummings is putting forward, and we're not saying it's AO perfect and have no, will not be adjusted. But as a good coach, you must have a game plan. And then when you get to the game, whatever your opponent is giving you, you make the necessary adjustments. And that's what we're waiting to do. And we'll come here to do so every time.
Ben, your response to our callers.
So, first thing, the individual who said don't run, that, for me, I would take that as a positive. Maybe I have induced a lot of fear. So some of them see my entry into this race as, as something scary. So I will tell you this, I really enjoy this night because we have Liberians discussing issues as opposed to, somebody touch documents, somebody do this. We have to debate the issues. Whoever win the election should win it based on the superiority of their platforms. It's not about who took who to court. No. So I think this is very good. Let me say the last thing. The other guy asked me if I have a team. I tell you this. My team is Liberia. I will inspire a people's movement because there is need for change in Liberia. Liberians desire earnest and honest leadership. Then the next thing he asked me,
no, Ben, let me push you.
But you can be everywhere at the same time. You don't have a team.
Wait now.
I'm muting the man. Ben, here's the question.
I want to
team, no, you don't understand because you say your team is Liberia. Don't joke. Don't do that. Do you have a campaign manager? Do you have people that are doing your photos that are going?
I do have a small office in Liberia. We will be launching, like I said, in
December. Who are the people that are behind this thing?
Hold on now. Let me answer this question.
Give us some names.
I don't want to lose my.
What's the office address?
Listen now. The guy told me that who am I? And I take that in my stride because history is made by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So I am nobody, but I am invested in a better Liberia. I want to see the framework for a new Liberia laid in my lifetime. The last thing he said, he said I'm doing a poor job. I appreciate that. You see, Mr. Gay on this show, I appreciate him. It is sad. One guy said, I'm here trying to argue with Mr. Gay. Cummings, what guy? Every time they go, who did they meet? They meet ordinary Liberians. Mr. Gay is the right person for me to talk to. I want to be able to convince Mr. Gay to join me. I will not discount him. He's a good Liberian. I want the least of Liberians to come here. You see, we are engaging with our people. And for me, Mr. Gay is one of the best Liberians ever. I will engage him everywhere. I don't have to debate with the big guys. No. These are the ordinary people that will go out there tomorrow and vote. So I must direct my message to them. So, Mr. Gay, once again, I want to say thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate the interaction. I hope from tonight we will become friends. And I hope in the next few months I will see you on Team Kofa. Thank you.
You don't give me a parting comment, but here's the thing, Mr. Koba. We don't know you.
Hold on, Anthony, wait. I know you're on fire, but give me a chance. I just want to read a few comments here. Tavina Ko said they already have a fast track code for SGBV, but it is ineffective. So you need to strengthen that and don't reinvent the wheel. Tavina also say neither side, none of you convincing. Dave just said Anthony is promising too much. Liberia will have sex registry. I don't think Cummings agree with those things you are promising.
5 million people. Why can't have sex registry?
Okay. Okay, yeah, Jimmy already talked about the negative growth rate, so we don't want to repeat that. Abraham said there's a difference between growth and rate. That is two separate things. That Ben is not understanding. So again, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. We have more and more comments here. So I will take your closing comments. Yeah, this one from Zeus, revenue generation, streamlining, and so on and so forth. So let me get your closing comments. We start with Ben here tonight. Again, I want to thank you all for the debate. We did this not that I expect you to have a robust plan that you have all the answers, but this is just to let Liberians and you all know that these are the things we should be talking about. You know, the specifics of these plans and what you're going to do, especially paying for it. You both really did not do a good job talking about how you're going to pay for it. Cutting wasteful spending is just peanut. But again, thank you so much for coming. This is just to tell you how to put some bones on the plan. Ben said you are still at the level of policy brief. So as soon as that is complete, please come back and we're going to have a talk. Your closing comments, sir.
Say me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. First thing I want to say once again, thanks to Mr. Gay. I really enjoyed the interaction, and thanks to you, Mr. Ja. Yeah, you know, I will always be here. I like the interaction, and you know, I am elated tonight because you know this is not a place where we talk about he said or she said. We are talking about Liberia. We are talking about improvements in Liberia, and we are talking about blueprints. You know, frameworks. We're talking about timeline. We're talking about agenda. These are the things we should be talking about. We are months away from a national election. Months, not years, months away. And until those who will vote can be informed in terms of what the issues actually are, they will end up in line voting uninformed. So I want to encourage you to not stop to me. Let's continue to push this so that the dialogue in Liberia will change. You know, it is high time Liberians have access to information so that when they stand in line to vote, they will vote from an informed basis. So thank you, Mr. Gay. I look forward to seeing you on my team really, really soon. And thank you to the audience members. I appreciate all your views. We welcome them. We do not know it all. Collectively, we can put our heads together and move Liberia. But I want to say this: I do not want the elections of next year to boil down between Joe Walker and George Weah. It will be my worst nightmare. I want everybody, every Liberian to take vested interest and be part of this process. I want to say thank you again, and thank you to all Liberians hearing the sound of my voice. Thank you.
Thank you. And these two last comments here. Soa Mapu said, y'all keep laughing at Ben, and I'm so impressed. He's so patient and humble. Thanks for your presentation tonight, Mr. Finn. Thomas Awaji said, Anthony is not on Cummings policy team. He did a terrible job tonight representing Cummings. Public policy is not his area. Everyone doesn't have to be a spokesman. And I want to put all of you here. Tavina said, Anthony, work on your emotional interruption on the panel. Tavina said, Ben, work on building your team and don't rely on Liberia as your team. Anthony, your closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai, and thank you, Mr. Kofa, for coming on here tonight. Tell Vidan Cole I watch you on the SKTV all the time, and you yourself sometimes you get carried away during the time. So it was in a moment of time. This thing was never planned. So I apologize if that was something that was a pet peeve for you. But yes, thanks for the feedback. Liberians sitting across the table tonight. 2023, you're sick or tired, your job is no longer to be a sacrifice, you're no longer born in poverty and die in poverty. God had created you to have opportunity. So here's the thing, we are not mad at you for your vote in 2017 for giving most of your vote to President George Weah. You have an opportunity now. You can change your destiny, you can change your outcome, you can change everything surrounding you by voting the right person into place. You have seen a man called Alexander Benedict Cummings. He's not going to make everything work perfectly in one day or 1 year or one term. But yes, what he's guaranteeing you, that is, you will have access to 24/7 electricity so that Ma Sarah can also send her child to school by just tying cool. She does not have to be a minister to have that opportunity. You yourself can also tie your cold water and also make a living. Electricity is a necessity. Not having electricity in the 21st century is a disaster for our nation. Look at our nation international airport. Dark. That is a no-no. We must have 21st century Liberia, meaning 24/7 electricity is a must. It is not something that we should beg for. Once you have money, some of you have money, you can afford LEC, but it's nowhere to be found. You pay for it, like me, when I was in Liberia, I paid for it, and I didn't have the service. It goes in and out. The West African power pool is available. The Liberian government needs to seize the opportunity to pay for it so we can have 24/7 electricity.
Thank you.
Vote Cummings 2023. We'll have an opportunity to expand on this. And I'll watch this video and learn from some of the things tonight. I'm not being proud to say, yes, I'm going to learn. And listen, thank you, Mr. Jha, for this show. And thank you, everyone, for following. I appreciate the opportunity tonight.
Thank you. On that note, we end with our song that says, whether you are on the Cummings side or the Kofa Fyneah side, we are all Liberians, and we must do everything and whatever it takes to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Good night, guys, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.